You're tuned into Almost There, where we keep it real about the grind, the hustle, and everything in between. I'm your host, Stacee Rowland, and this is the spot for raw, unfiltered convos with people who are out here chasing goals, making moves, and figuring it out along the way. So whether you're close to that finish line or just getting started, making that big move for that new job, or honestly in search of some inspiration for that day-to-day grind, you came to the right place. So sit back, vibe with us, like and subscribe, and let's talk about what it really looks like to be almost there.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Almost There with me, your girl, your host, your girl, your girl, your girl. You know what, guys? We honestly need to come up with like a thing for us. You feel me? Because the way these conversations are going to start going, it's going to become very personal. And I feel like we're becoming like friends slash family. Some of us. Those of you who are consistent, it's okay. But no, for real, we are becoming like friends slash family. And so we're going to come up with something. But as for now, welcome to another episode of season 2 of Almost There with me, your girl, your host, Stacee Rowland. This episode is literally an episode that I just thought of today, which is crazy. We weren't supposed to have an episode this week. And there were so many things that kind of came up in my mind this weekend, slash, like as I was going to different events around the city and just talking to different people. And it inspired me to really just broach the conversation and have this topic. But yeah, honestly, comment in the bottom. For those of you who are going to watch this on YouTube, comment in the bottom. What should our catchphrase be? Because some of you guys have handshake. I can't handshake you because we're not in person. Some of you guys do this one with your elbow. We're not in person, Chevy. So what do you want to see? We could do like a little cute, like little cheer, little chant. We're not doing a cheer chant, but no, for real though. Honestly, welcome to another episode. I'm excited to talk to you guys today about a topic that I think is really gonna get personal. And I just hope that I don't go on a rant. I really do, but it might happen. But let's just take a minute and pause for the bangs, for the bangs, for the bangs, because they deserve their moment. I just want to give the camera a little close up moment for the bangs. Okay. Shout out to my stylist. She's retired temporarily, so I cannot put her information out there. But she knows who she is, and whenever she's ready for me to put her in the game officially, because the people have been asking for your information. We can make it happen. I got you. But on a serious note, because I always say every time I'm here by myself, I like to act up, and clearly that's what's happening again. On a serious note, guys, today we will be talking about self doubt because a lot of you guys don't understand, including myself. You're your biggest hater. You're looking at Jackie and Jeffrey. You're looking at Sumbo and Simi, and you're saying those are my haters. No, Teresa, Magdalene, you hate on you enough to stop your own shine, sweetheart. Jonathan, Christopher, St. Chris, whatever your name is. We have all the different names these days, and I love the inclusivity in the names. But honestly, we hate on ourselves enough to even think to say, okay, the next person, my neighbor, left and right, is hating on me too. They're the ones dimming my shine. They're the ones placing that glass ceiling as to where I can even get to and what I'm capable of. Sometimes it is literally you. You are the one stopping yourself. And I've had so many different conversations over the past couple of months as I've thought about where am I going to take the show? Does the show even make sense? Shoot, do I even make sense? And the question that I always get asked is like, but do people not start somewhere? Did the person that you're not aspiring to be or follow after, do they not start somewhere? Do the things that you're not looking to gain in life start from somewhere? You don't just become this person that has reached this level of success. You don't just become this person that embodies these qualities and these traits. You don't just become this person that that man wants or that this woman wants. You ultimately grow and you develop to get to that point. You transition. You get to where you want to be. You don't just arrive there. It is a journey, it's a process, right? And so I want to start us off with the tradition before we even get too far, because clearly I'm excited because we're talking about something that I think is so poignant and so relevant to a lot of us, especially a lot of us young adults who are really trying to just achieve things in life. Like, you become your biggest critic the more you aspire to grow in life. And so today's quote comes from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and I hope I said his name right too. I don't even know the origin, I'm not gonna hold you, but of Mr. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. But this is where our quote of the day comes from. Doubt grows with knowledge. And when I was looking up quotes of the day and thinking of what made sense for this episode, as soon as I saw this one, it spoke volumes to me. And I say that for so many reasons. You ever thought about the fact that, like, when you were a kid and you wanted to go play on the playground with your friends, but you didn't know how to do a somersault slash summer tuck, but it didn't stop you from climbing on those monkey bars and doing your 1-2 twirl and bum on your head? For some of us, it didn't stop us. Exactly. So why is it now, right, that to simply walk up 3 steps, head up, chin up, shoulders back, with confidence into a restaurant by yourself, you have to think 30 different times about, what am I going to wear? When am I going to get there? Should I go by myself? Where should I sit? Should I sit at the bar? Do I get a table? Cute, not cute. What's the vibes? So many different things creep in with knowledge, right? And we're not saying all knowledge is good knowledge, because some of us need to become familiar with the quote, "You're so smart that you're stupid." It is a quote. First time I ever heard it was when I was in New Orleans. Some of the best things I've learned are from that city. So thank you to my NOLA family. But honestly speaking, like, you can be so smart and so sure of things, so factual, so knowledgeable, that you literally outthink and outsmart yourself out of situations. You outthink and outsmart yourself out of prime opportunities and make way for what could have been a perfect position for yourself, what could have been an optimal opportunity for you to grow. You make way for, instead of that to exist, for doubt to now literally be all that is planted and grows. And I feel like doubt is like a weed. Like, once there's one seed of it, one speck of it, it's literally all that can exist. And it takes plowing and tending to the ground and literally uphoeing the entire field to bring about new fruit, because you've literally created a soil where only negative things can be produced. And that's a word. What the kids say, they be saying clock it. That's a word. Clock that. Okay. Because honestly and truly, I even feel like that is one of my biggest things. And prime example, right? I the pause because I'm like, am I really gonna tell this story? But we're gonna tell it. Prime example, we all know, right? There's that one person that you want to talk to, there's that one person you want to shoot your shot at, you want to introduce yourself to. And it's one of those things where you're either gonna go for it, or you're gonna ask yourself 30 different times, should I go for it? Right? And eventually you're going to either talk yourself up to it, or you're going to talk yourself out of it. And I remember literally holding myself back for what was probably about 2 weeks, convincing myself, okay, I'm going to hold off because I need to see if this person makes sense. I need to see that they're head these streets. I need to make sure that they're actually who I think they are before I even say what I want to say to them. When truly all it was me second guessing whether or not I was someone they would even find interesting or even deem being worthy of being interested in, right? And for me, I finally was like, you know what? After 2 weeks, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, girl. I talked myself up to it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna talk to this man. We're gonna shoot our shot, and we're gonna see how it goes. Because ultimately, what can they do? They say no. You go home. We all go home. We all go about our business. And I remember that day that I shot my shot, and I was like, hey, I'm not sure if we know each other from somewhere, or if, I am reading this wrong. This was like the summer of last year. And while me and this individual are no longer talking, it was a 4 5 month experience that really taught me a lot about what it looks like as a woman to remove the societal standards of only he should speak first and literally remind myself who I am, step into myself, be comfortable in that skin, and literally allow whatever is going to happen, right? And the thing is, self-doubt doesn't just creep in relationships. I think that's a place where it festers the most because when you have self-doubt in a relationship, it can not only stunt the beginning of a relationship and what it looks like to actually even start talking to someone, it can literally cause it to end. You can be in a fully functioning relationship, everything is going well. You guys are singing each other that song. No, you hang up. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up. No, you. No, you, baby. We just don't hang up. Everybody just fall asleep together. You know what I'm saying? Let's fall asleep on the phone. Everything is going great. It was just vibes, love, love, love. All that, right? And then you come across one of those foolish things that shows you who your partner has just recently followed, or you stumble across a like or a mention or a comment or whatever the case is. And then that one seed begins to deposit itself in your mind thinking, oh, is this really what they like? Or is this really what he's looking for? Is this really what she wants? And then you think, but I haven't been providing that. Why haven't they said anything? And then it's that one thought that trickles into literally a snowball, an avalanche of 30,000 other ideas that literally were non-existent, but were allowed to manifest because there was already a root inside of you that had not been uprooted that said, I'm not good enough, or that said, there's more that I could be doing, or that said, this person should be somewhere else, right? That's just relationships, which is, I think, where we have a lot to lose. But in terms of adults, when we're transitioning in life and you're talking about what's really at stake, you have a career, right? And we think about when you're trying to apply for jobs, and especially as Black and brown folks or women in spaces that may not typically be occupied by people that look like us, we find it very easy to convince ourselves or finds it easy to see that typically people that look like this get this job, or people that have these qualifications get this job, or people of this stature, of this age, of this pedigree, they're qualified to get this job. Says who? Yes, there is such thing as merit. Yes, there is such thing as being qualified, right? And having the degrees, the diplomas, the experience, all the things necessary to be the appropriate candidates. But there is also such thing as fate in God, right? And I say that to say that where doubt exists, where self reproach exists, you literally make no room for God to exist, because God says, I am bigger and better than what you could even imagine. God says that you are wonderfully and fearfully made. And so, if all those things are true, how then, in the same token, can what the world says is adequate be what you define as what means or what is adequate in your life, right? And I think about when we're going into our careers, and as people that are literally maybe just in the beginning phases of their careers, how important it is to really recognize when you are your biggest enemy. You have that big presentation coming up, you have that big proposal coming up, and you're meeting with the CEO, there's that COO, and you've never been in that position before. Who's to say that you can't knock it out the park because you haven't done it before? I just want to know. I'll wait for the critic in the room to speak up. Okay. So I don't know about y'all, but I heard silence, right? And so for me, ultimately, what does that mean? when you are given an opportunity, which is something I'm learning every day and something that this podcast is teaching me, when you are given an opportunity, when you are given a skill set, when you are given a God given talent that you know you can't shake and that no one else can shake, what does it matter that you're sitting across the room from the biggest, baddest boss in the building, right? What does it matter that you are giving a presentation that literally has a portfolio of $1 million on the line, right? Those things are factors. I'm not saying just go in there and do willy-nilly. Please don't tell them Stacey sent you to do shakara in the courtroom or in the boardroom. I didn't send you to do such thing. But what I am saying is, yes, those things are factors, but they are not the only factor. You are what makes or breaks the bank. You are what has the potential to get the deal. You are what is capable of getting that guy or that girl. And I think it's so unfortunate, right, that we live in a day and an age where a lot of us just live in this pit of doubt, in this pit of, I don't know if it should be me. I don't know if I'm capable. And I really sometimes have to ask myself, when did I even start thinking this way? And I think it's important that when we get older and we're in these transitions and these periods in life where things are getting real and things are changing, that we start asking ourselves, when did you start to wonder and question who you are? When did those things happen? I'm curious to hear what y'all think, but I really do feel like it's somewhere in between elementary and middle school, because you start creating social groups, and those social groups start to define who you are, start to define your ideologies, start to define what you define as worthy, start to define then what you think makes you worthy, and then that spills over into who you become, right? Then as you get older, who you become starts to morph as your brain starts to develop. You start to have more emotions, all the hormones, all these different things start to develop within you. And ultimately, they are sustained by lifelong experiences that then root themselves in what become consistent behaviors and ideologies of self and of the world. And I know for me, growing up in an environment that was primarily white in a upper middle class area, I want to say on the back end, the negative of that was that I did not grow up around people that looked like me. I did not grow up. I had my circle, right? And they know who they are, but there was not a lot of us. We didn't have teachers that resembled us like that. We were definitely in a city where I felt like, you walk around a certain store, and you look like me or you're my skin tone and you get followed around. Those types of things happen. And it's like, okay, you start to develop a sense of self-consciousness, a sense of hyper awareness of self, which I think to a certain degree makes sense because you want to make sure you're presenting yourself in a good light. But then at what point does that become a handicap? Right. And I remember having a conversation with a friend that I met out here in DC. And we talked about the fact that he grew up in New York, and growing up in New York, specifically for him, he was in environments where there were a lot of people that looked like him. They spoke like him. They talked like him. He was able to truly be himself and live within his experience as a Black man. And as a Black woman growing up in an environment, at a young age where people didn't necessarily look like me, talk like me, speak like me, I think 10-15% of you is spent trying to be someone else. And then you become an adult and those habits still stick with you. And it's unfortunate because then when you get into these spaces where you're supposed to excel and really strive to be your best self and really have all the opportunity to do so, because you can literally do anything, quite literally, that you want to do in this life if you put your mind to it, which sounds cliche, but it's true. When you get into those spaces where that opportunity does exist, you have that 10-20% of you that rooted itself back when you were in high school, middle school, whatever those adolescent years that you can remind yourself of, where you started to really start to develop that core sense of self, you have that little bit of you turning on saying, I need to mold myself to be this. I need to show up this way. I need to talk like this. And it's all these different things, all these different lies that we tell ourselves to ultimately become worthy of the environment that we're in, or to convince ourselves that this is what we need to do to succeed in the environment that we're in. And let's be real, you can only not be you for so long until you realize you're not being you. And also, not being you is awkward. Folks get it. Folks can tell. I'm so sorry. I don't know about y'all, but I can tell when someone got a little front going. I personally can tell. And so then no one wants to be around what is fake and what's not real. So then not only have you made yourself uncomfortable, you probably made Tom, Becky, and Susie uncomfortable. I don't know why I keep using them names, but it's just very relevant to me. But you probably made Tom, Becky, and Susie uncomfortable. And then you might have also literally wiggled your way out of an opportunity that was meant for you if you had only been yourself. And I start to also think about the fact that when we do that, then what do we do? What happens? What happens when you sit in self doubt and you sit in this pity puddle of, I gotta be this person to succeed, or I'm not good enough if I'm not this way, or this person doesn't see me worthy enough, or whatever the case is, right? What happens then? In my opinion, this is what happens. I think that we use at that point other people to affirm to us what it is we want to see in ourselves. So you call your homegirl and it goes something like this: Sis, I went to this event. I think I really put my best foot forward. I tried my hardest, but I'm really not sure. Like, I had the right outfit on, I talked to all the right people, but something about the way that I gave my pitch wasn't giving. Something about the way that I walked into the room and didn't smile, I think probably ruined it. Girl, this is Fran. Fran, what are you talking about? What? You did what? There's no way. Listen, the people that say that you got to smile more, they don't know what they're talking about. Who cares? You walked into that room, and even if you look down, it's probably because you didn't want to miss your step. Friend, what do you mean? I know you looked good. And if anyone had eyes, they would see that too. And then this is you, and this is where the conversation concludes. You know what, girl, you're right. I'm probably just tripping. I'm probably going to hear back from him or her tomorrow with the next steps. I'll keep you posted. Okay, bad girl. Good night. Good night. So, what did we learn there? One, no accountability. Two, a lot of packing. What is that? Not backpacking. Tongue twist. What is this? Your back. Yeah, back padding. Okay, I had it right. A lot of backpacking. Packing. Golly ting. We're gonna keep that in there because it was kind of funny. But it was a lot of back padding, right? A lot of affirming what we want to hear so that we don't have to literally acknowledge what it is, which is maybe sometimes if you did smile, people would feel more comfortable talking to you. Maybe sometimes when we look down because we lack the confidence to literally own a room, and that's okay. Those things take practice. Maybe we had difficulty talking to Tom, Becky, and Susie because we have social anxiety and those things are real, right? But when we walk away from the truth of a situation and then we call our friends who we know will love us, and I'm going to hold your hand very, very gently when I say this. I'm going to hold your hand, friend, when I say this, because we're all family here at Almost There, the podcast. When we call our friend and we ask them to affirm to us the delusions that we've created in our minds so that we feel good about the things that we don't want to address in ourselves, we continue the cycle that allows us to sit in self-doubt, because it's easier to do that and not address the things that are uncomfortable than it is to say, I'm going to call the lady, as I heard my friends call him yesterday. I'm going to call the lady or call the man and have that conversation and sit on that couch, metaphorically and physically, or literally, whatever the people say, metaphorically or literally, and work on myself, literally. Self doubt, I think, as I'm getting older, is only as crippling as we allow it to be. And as I'm saying this to you guys, I'm saying it to myself because I think 2025 is that year, and I said it on the first episode, where God is going to take you to places where you're going to have to get out of what has been your norm, what has been where you've been comfortable existing in, where you have allowed your self-imposed delusion and grandeur to allow you to thrive. You're going to have to get out of that. That's not going to work anymore. It's not going to help at all. You want the man, you want the woman, then do the self work. You want the job, then invest in the skills rather than allowing yourself to be crippled by self doubt. Number one, because it's a tough love moment. And like I said, I'm holding your hand. I'm holding it very, very gently when I say this, rather than allowing yourself to sit in self doubt. And a lot of times we don't recognize self doubt because we're convincing ourselves that's not what it is. We don't want to call it doubt. We'd rather say it's nerves, it's anxiety. Those things are very true. Those things also exist. Those things are also very plausible and could be very much so mutually exclusive, but then also exist at the same time, right? But I think a lot of the things that we talk ourselves out of, a lot of the things that we miss as ample opportunities are because we talk ourselves out of them due to the doubt that we have in our capacity to succeed in them. And I remember during a Bible study conversation we were having last week or 2 weeks ago, we discussed the fact that God literally has granted each of us certain skills, certain quality traits that is going to allow us to individually and uniquely contribute to his kingdom mission. But that is not to say that if you don't tap into your skills, your capacity, your abilities, that he cannot use someone else or develop someone else to do that. Because the mission has to be done at the end of the day. We have to get to the end goal at the end of the day. Lives have to be won for God at the end of the day. The church has to be brought to the front at the end of the day. The person on the side of the road who is depending on you to start that nonprofit still has to be helped at the end of the day. Whether or not you want to realize that your ability to empower others, your ability to galvanize hope and support and raise funds, that little pop-up thing that you did in college, that lemonade stand that you had when you was in 6th grade, all those little different things, right, that he planted in you, all those things, whether or not you realize it, are his telltale signs in you, his small hand-picked qualities and traits in you, uniquely for you, for his kingdom. But if you can't do it, someone else will, because the job still has to get done. If Stacee can't say, I'm going to get out of my own way, I'm going to remove my own self-doubt, I'm going to do the work, whether that means talking to an accountability partner, a therapist, my pastor, a friend that is actually going to hold me accountable and not just pat me on the back and say, yeah, sis, you right. Yeah, friend, clock it. Yeah. No, it's not always time for that, right? If Stacee can't get out of her own way, God will say, yes, I granted you with those traits. Yes, I believe that you are so worthy and so capable, and I knew you could do it. But at the end of the day, just like he used other people in the Bible to accomplish what the Israelites could not do because they could not get out their own way time and time and time again, he at this modern day and age can do the same thing because the job still has to get done. No matter what that job is, whether it's at your company, whether it's in your church, or it does not matter. Ultimately, God will do and use who he needs to accomplish what it is that he is seeking in us. And I think ultimately what it looks like to truly remove self-doubt is to love oneself without any reserve, right? When you think of self-doubt, I think self-doubt is selfish. I think it's saying, hey, you in the mirror, you're good, but just not good enough. Hey, friends, you're pretty, but just not pretty enough. Or you're smart, but not smart enough for that job. Or so many, the examples could go on for days and days and days. And how rude is that to you? How disrespectful. Like, how rude. The audacity, truly, is that to you to put a limit on who you are, what you're capable of attaining, and ultimately what is within your grasp. If only you could remove the cloud that you have placed over your vision and your line of sight into what your future could look like. I think no self-doubt looks like self-love, acknowledging shortcomings, but then still saying, hey, I can do it. I think absence of self-doubt looks like I may not be the best in these 3 areas, but I'm going to find the resources to get better because we're not all going to be jack of all trades. Because you'd rather be a master of some than a jack of all, right? It's quality over quantity. I think a absence of self-doubt looks like no more missed opportunities. And saying that really fills my spirit because I feel like, and this is just me speaking for myself, but ultimately my hope for everyone, whoever hears this, right? I think no more missed opportunities. Literally no more missed opportunities. No more missed interviews. No more missed relationships. No more missed divine connections. No more missed mentorships. No more missed marriages. No more missed reconciliations because you're doubting whether or not you've done enough work to be worthy of the person that it is that you're trying to win back, whatever the circumstances is. No more missed opportunities. No more. And so, what is the opposite of self doubt? Because we talked about what self doubt is, right? And we said self doubt is what? Doubt grows with knowledge. Because you can be so smart that you're not. Self doubt is also in James 12 or in James 1, verses 2 through 8. Jesus says, the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. When you have doubt, one day you feel this way, one day you feel this way. One day the doubt doesn't exist and you're running through the streets, you're gallivanting, you're living life, everything is great. Literally singing Outcast. Hey, now everything is everything. Everything is everything. Everything is everything. But then as soon as that one seed of doubt creeps in, it's literally like none of that ever existed. But what is the absence of self-doubt? What does the Bible also say about that? The Bible says literally in Psalms 32, verse 8, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. It also says in Isaiah 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. To me, the absence of self-doubt is literally love, unbeholden to societal standards, self-love that does not disappear based on your mood or your circumstance. And it also is a sense of direction. It also is a sense of I have guidance. I have a little bit of confidence to know that I may not be able to see 30 feet in front of me, but at least I know that there's a vision, and I'm going to trust that the vision is enough to see me through, because all you need is a little bit of faith to carry you through. And so I want to challenge us, right, as we get through the rest of this year, and as you listen to this episode and hopefully share it with your friends, family, and loved ones, to ask yourself, where has the self-doubt creeped in? When you think about where you want to transition and be better in life, where you want to improve, what aspects in life are you seeking to move forward in? Is it your career? Is it your love life? Is it your relationship with God, with your family, with your friends? No matter what it is your relationship with yourself, because your relationship with yourself is what matters the most. Because if you don't love you, baby, I don't know. So literally, I challenge us to ask ourselves, where does the self-doubt exist? How do I address that? And ultimately, when I do address it, what could my life look like? What opportunities could I have? What doors could be open? What hands could I shake? What people could I meet? What divine connections and unions could foster themselves from that? From a renewed sense of self that does not falter with the wind, like the Bible said, that does not one day go left, one day go right, one day is up, one day is down, but is literally so rest assured in the fact that you have those unique skills, you have those unique qualities. And because of that, and because of my skills and my unique qualities, and because I have a little bit of an insight into the vision and not necessarily into the future, because we don't know the future. You're not Raven and you're not God, right? But because I have a little bit of an insight into what those things look like, I'm going to be fine. So thank you for tuning into another episode of Almost There, the podcast, with me, your girl, your host, that Kel, Stacee Rowland. Love you. See you next week.